Alrighty guys, welcome back to the channel. This is about how tire placement's gonna be. It never fails. It's cracked and it's leaking. Go figure. So every time you do a project, you gotta do a little bit of mock-up. Kind of like set stuff up to where you see how it looks. And that's about where tire placement's gonna be. Now the back's gonna go in a little bit more. I can't get it to sit the right distance back and then bring it in with the rear end still sitting there. So roughly 4 inches is what the back tire is gonna go in. But essentially, it's gonna half-ass look like that. So the rear end is gonna be pushed back. I'm gonna say about middle of the gas tank, maybe a little farther back than that, not by much though. But kind of look at the car. Gonna be pretty awesome. Gonna be pretty awesome. So got a few things mocked up, center mount. So I figured out how I'm gonna do the center pivots, where I'm gonna run a new piece of frame. Essentially this piece of wood right here is now gonna be a 2x2 piece of square tube, goes all the way back, ties into the frame back here, and that'll be center mounted A-arms. That way it's true pivot and should easily get the travel I want out of this thing. And then also with about ride height, it needs to settle a little bit more. The tire would have to go up just a little bit more, but as it sits right now, it's almost where it's gonna sit at ride height, as far as, like, obviously another 15, 16 inches on the ground, but like the top of the radiator shell is gonna be like right here. It's gonna be amazing. Like it's gonna be like mid-stomach, hip high. It's awesome. Woohoo! Keep on working. I'll keep you guys updated. Alrighty guys, I've been plugging away at this. Got a bunch of stuff cleaned up my bench so I can actually get some work done, stuff like that. Cleaned up a bunch of tubing I'm gonna use, stuff that I'm gonna repurpose. Again, as cheap as possible, right? The only thing I did go down and buy is I bought 2 brand new pieces of 1.5" 120 wall DOM. And that's gonna be for the A-arms. A-arms and then the rear links. Just because like I want this to be cheap, but at the same time, like I don't want it to break and like, I don't want to get hurt, so. But anyway, we are working on center pivot mounts right now. And this is what I'm doing. So it's just a piece of 2x2. I radiused out the insides, radiused the back sides, and then drilled my holes. So that way my pivots, hey, I need that. That way these guys will be the A-arm, you know, yay, something like that. So it'll be almost a center pivot. So, but one of the things I figured I would show you guys is at least making at least one of these, because I mean, I don't know, I'm sure every fabricator out there knows how to do this, but for those of you guys that don't, I mean, you might want to see the whole process work real quick. So that's what we're doing right now. All right, those are all done. We'll get to cutting now. And just like that, we've got one whole pivot made. So this one right here matches this one, and that one matches this one. So Again, A-arm, A-arm, stuff like that. You know, they don't have to be absolutely perfect, but they just gotta work. It's a rat rod. Well, ooh, we're gonna have to come up with a name for this thing. Because I can't call it a rat rod no more. Like, there's gotta be some type of like dune buggy racer or like sand something. We gotta come up with a new name. It just can't be the rat rod no more. It's gotta be something else. Like it's taken on another life now. Let me know in the comments. Tell me what you guys think we should call this thing now. We'll figure this out. But I got one more to build, and then we'll start measuring and cutting up some of this tubing, cleaning all this stuff up, and getting the center mounts done. Got all these things cut. They're ready to go. One thing I am going to do to these mounts is I'm going to put a weld washer on here just to spread the load a little bit more. I'd like to get the ones that are the teardrop, but because I'm going to be running a 2-inch tube, essentially like this, into the center like that, the teardrop ones won't work. So I just use regular washers. Right. Yeah, baby. That's definitely good enough where I come from. All right, that piece is in. Let me do a little weldy. Just a little bit on both sides so I can continue building. Perfect. Car's up on the lift now. We got it moved over off the table. Trying to give you guys an update. And I'm going to try and do at least one like update every like 2, 3, 4 days. They may not be very long, but at least I'll give you guys kind of an idea, track the days and whatnot. We've got like, I think it's 3 more weekends and like roughly 4 weeks before this trip happens. Merlin's birthday party. This is where we're at with the car. So the Sunday, I disassembled everything, got it down to where it's like a blank canvas. I can start doing what I think I need to do, stuff like that. Monday come around, I only worked about a half a day on it. And 90% of what I did was literally like thinking, trying to figure out exactly what I was gonna do, how I'm gonna do it, stuff like that. So I got some brackets built and I got the subframe put in exactly how I want it. So now we got center pivots up here, dropped it down. We got our lower A-arms down here, and then we got our brackets built all the way back. And then it's gonna be bolted to the frame back here. So I have 4 bolts across the bottom, 4 bolts across the front. And then it's got the 3 bolts up here that go to the spring perch. Now, essentially I am gonna brace this whole thing. Like it's gonna get braced from here, no, from here to here, and then back down, and then back here, it's gonna get braced up to here. So that's definitely gonna happen, but I can't do that until I figure out my spring rates and I make sure that this spring is correct. So as long as I can figure out that that spring is correct and that's what I need for my spring rates, how do I say this? I don't want to build it because if I change the spring pack, the thickness, I'm going to have to change, like if this changes for height, this whole piece is going to go up and down a little bit. So if that being the case, like my braces going back to here are going to go up and down too, because my plan is I'm just going to cup this. The same thing I did back here with a piece of angle, I'm going to cup this part right here. So bracing, that happy poo. If I move this down, This is going to come down to, I'll have a gap, and I just don't want to put washers and nothing like that. I want this to be correct. Like, well thought out. And again, like I've been saying, all bolt on. Everything that I'm doing right now, I'll be able to take everything back off and put the car back the way it was before. So that's what we're sitting on right now. That's what we're gonna start doing. So today is gonna be pull the subframe out. I'm gonna put 2 braces in because those aren't gonna matter right now. Pull this subframe out, and I'm gonna weld out this whole subframe, get it done, and then we're gonna start mocking up A-arms. I wanna get all 4 A-arms mocked up to the point where like I'm ready to start building out my spindles. And then that means I have to take the front end apart and start building out what I need to build the spindles, the stubs and stuff like that. I'll show you guys all that. But let's get to it. Here it is. We're doing it. It never fails. So just walking around the car, I don't know, looking stuff over. I go to the back end, I start looking at stuff because I really want to like make sure I'm figuring out everything I need to figure out. I've got it figured out. Know exactly what I'm gonna do, and you guys are gonna trip out. It's gonna work so cool. You guys are gonna be amazed it's gonna work. But one of the things I saw was some cracks in my fuel line. So I walked up and just touched it, and what do you know? Just touching the fuel line. Now it's cracked and it's leaking. Go figure. Like, it really was just fine. Like, it didn't leak at all. Like, at all. But now I have a leak. And the worst part is, I've got like 16 gallons of fuel in here. So like, this spot right here is 5 gallons. That's 10 gallons, and that's 15 gallons. So, oh no, I'm about 12 gallons, I'm sorry. So I'm like right here on fuel. I don't know if it'll shake. That's my fuel level, like right there. So I'm gonna have to go get my gas cans. I have to drain all my fuel out because otherwise it's gonna drain itself. Working on cars. No! Hopefully it just didn't break off. Oh, it did break. No! It cracked right there and cracked right there. Dang nabbit. Ah! All right. Look at that. Woohoo! These are not the correct gloves. Woo! That's burning. I'm not saying these are the right gloves. Yeah, I'm not even sure. Okay, so I'm not saying these are the right gloves, but they're definitely better than those ones. Definitely better than those ones. Maybe. All right, so just because I know this is already like good this way, I'm gonna go ahead and put this guy in right now.
But we'll just
Nope. That's good.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Ugh. Okay. All right, so real quick, another thing I'm gonna do too is this spring, because I'm not sure, like, This is a trailer spring, and we're gonna leverage it by like 2/3. But this one spring is rated for like almost 1,800 pounds, like 1,730 or 1,790, whatever the number is. I'm gonna take this top spring right here, I'm gonna flip it over so it like arcs up. I may have to do it to the top too, but we'll see what happens with the first one. Like as this one sits right now, I'm not gonna move this pivot from here like 6 inches up. Like the spring will bend. But if this one's turned the other direction and like it cradles it as these two like bend, maybe that'll be okay. Maybe I need to flip both of these and just let the primary spring do all the work. I don't know, we'll figure it out. But I know for the fact I'm gonna flip the top one. Now I just think it'll be better. Like, with how much this thing has to bendy, like, I don't know, like, I don't know, this is all shot in the dark. Let's see what happens. Okay, let's see if this thing tweaked at all. Hey, that one went in. Ooh, that was already tight. Okay. Okay, so when I cut all these things, I cut these from the tip of the bone to the back exactly 2 inches. So what that does is, that leaves me, so full thread right there, leaves me a 1/2 inch here and a 1/2 inch here. So if I spin this down, I can go in or out a 1/2 inch. So it's like right in the middle of where like the adjustment is for this to be safe. Because if I go out anymore, I'm gonna be pulling the threads out of the bung and I don't wanna do that. So let me get all these things stuck in here and installed. Last one. So I just got all those installed. Look what this dog brings me. Like, hey, hush for a second. This is this dog's like piece of plywood. Why? Okay, bring it to me. This doesn't help at all. You're actually slowing down my progress. Okay, here, go, that way. All right, we gotta go throw the piece of wood to the dog. This is like every 20 minutes. Right to the back. All right, so we technically haven't like really figured out exactly how wide we want the car and like that, so it's all just kind of a guesstimate. So I'm gonna eyeball like from like pivot point to like what is center of like the back hub. It's roughly like 32-ish. So now I know the back tires are obviously gonna go wider because of the adapter or whatever I have to run, or the big wheel. So I think I'm gonna run with the front A-arms being 30 inches long. Now they should probably be 28 inches long, because the front wheels are always gonna be skinnier on this car than the back. Because if you figure, if we measure the back of the spindle to the front of the face of the hub, what is that? So like if we just measure like kind of half eyeball it here, we're at like 5.5 inches. So let's see, let's see what we got over here. Alrighty, so we're at the point now where we got the bung stuck in here, and going off of what I think my measurements should be, I'm gonna look for a 30-inch lower, and that's where my A-arm is gonna come out, and then my uppers are gonna be 1.5 inches shorter, so 28.5. So let's see what type of piece of pipe we gotta get. If I'm looking at a 30, I gotta cut off about 2 inches for the bung. I'm gonna get a couple pieces cut real quick. About 32, so 28-inch pieces, and we'll start mocking up the control arms here. There we go. So again, I want this thing to cycle like 14 inches. So right now, it's probably, let me get the upper one on too, just so we can, here. Okay. So that's about how it's gonna look. Figure if I can get it to, if I can just get it to go flat, which would end up being right about there. Yeah, I'd like to go a little more than that. So I know I do have to put a bend up in these because the way the heims work and the way the spindle is, I need to put some angle in it. So I should probably throw these things in the bender real quick and put the bend in them right now. So that way I have the idea of exactly how much I'm gonna put in each one. I'm gonna do that right now. All right, we're gonna start with like a 20-inch or a 20-degree bend, just to start with. So we went to right at 24, and the spring back is like 20.5. So that'll be perfect. So this is kind of what we're working with right now. So that is like fully compressed, flat, straight across. That gives me, the spindle is gonna end up being roughly, give or take, someplace about here. The drum's about here. So I'm talking like my center of my spindle should be about here, which is fine. That's about where I'm guessing, stuff like that. So for my upper pivot back here, I gotta make sure I'm on plane. So that's pretty much as high as it's gonna go. Let's call that full bump. Like I can always take the ends of these A-arms and bend them up a little bit more, but I don't think I have to. I think this is good enough for what I'm doing. But that's essentially at full bump on both sides. Essentially, this is gonna be close to full droop. And other than, like, I know I have to get my spacing correct. This is all just temporary, obviously, stuff like that. So you got your heim, and then you got your spindle out yonder turning and whatnot. So essentially full droop is gonna be a little more than that, give or take. I actually think we're gonna get more than 14. Like full suspension, we can get it. Whether the spring lasts, I don't know yet. So we'll see how like my linkage works out as far as the ratio of what I can get with this little spring. But who knows, we might get 12, we might get 16. Like as it is right now, we can cycle easily 18. And who knows, one day I might take the coil, the leaf spring out of it and put coilovers on it, so I can get a full 18, but we'll see. Who knows, this might be perfect, perfect. But that's what we're working with right now. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna mock up the other half of the A-arm coming down and forward to meet in with these guys on both sides. So that way we can kind of get the whole idea of the control arm. And that way we know like exactly what we're working with here. Let me get a couple more tubes cut and bent and See you in a minute. Okay, so note to self, because this is on a 45, like a 50-degree angle, this bend doesn't need to be that much. Okay, so now that I know that, I have to make the bottom one on the other side at least this big. That means that when I do this one, I only have to bend it at like 14, 15 degrees instead of a full 20. So I'm gonna tack this guy together real quick and just see what happens. Sure, let's go with that mark right there. So overall, it's pretty good. Like I was saying, if you look down here, you can see how this back tube is lower. And then if you go up the plane, it's pretty close. So again, on the uppers, this tube actually can be the same way. It doesn't really matter because a little bit lower would be better for back here, up against the frame rail. I guess when you make a mistake, sometimes it works out. Alrighty, so this is upper and lower control arms kind of mocked up together. This is about what they're gonna be. So from there, all the way to there, we are golden. At full compression, like A-arm hitting dealio, we're looking at, come on. Woo! Like 16 and a half, 17 inches. So that's how she's gonna work. Oh yeah. Alrighty guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end this video tonight. This is what we got working with. We got lower and upper control arms mocked up. We got the bends where we need them, so that way the heims work good. I know what I have to do now. Again, today was a kind of a mock-up day. I didn't work on this very long. So you guys don't need to see me do the other 2 bars and bending those and whatnot. So this is Tuesday now. I'm hoping to get this one edited and released for you guys for Wednesday. And then I'm hoping by Friday, which a couple more days, whatever. I'm hoping by Friday I can get you guys A-arms final, both sides done, spindles, and then steering. You guys will have to check out the steering. Like we're gonna have a couple of bell cranks. Like we're gonna have a bell crank right here and a bell crank up here. So that way we have correct geometry of steering and stuff like that. But this is where we're at for a Tuesday night. Definitely gonna have I'm hoping to have it on front tires by Friday. If not on front tires, at least like all the A-arms done, all the bracing done. Well, I can't do the bracing until I know the spring is good. At least all the A-arms done and at least the spindles done, so I can actually set it on some weight. That way you guys can kind of see my whole, because again, my squirrel cage turns, I come up with a lot of really weird ideas. But that's half the fun of this, you know, like that's why we do these weird things. But it's gonna work. I promise you it's gonna work. And wait till you guys see the back. I came up with a crazy harebrained idea that I'm still like 90% certain is gonna work. So that's gonna be perfect. Like that's gonna be so amazing. Like in my own eyes, it's gonna be amazing. But anyway, this is what we're working with tonight. Get back with you guys on Friday.